Hello, everyone. This week, we move into section 3 of the Key to Theosophy, and there's lots. There's probably going to be hundreds of these, but we do little bits at a time. It is a book study. I include the link to the text, the original photocopy of the original book from 130 years ago, 1889. I also include little chunks of what we're going over in the weekly blogs. And yes, there is a difference here, a little bit, a lot of it. I went vegan in May, and it feels so good. It's like a time machine. Compassion gives a gift back to you. So when we talk about becoming the compassion, I was not expecting anything back. I just wanted to live a cruelty-free lifestyle. And anyway, it's amazing. Okay, so let's get to it, shall we? Let's go. Here we go. Okay. We're going to cover the working system of the Theosophical Society. So you can read along, you can pause this, you can just read the text, and then go over this if you want. I'm just grateful that you're here. Very. Okay. The objects of the society. Again, written down by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. She, by her own words, a scribe, a secretary. These ancient teachings are available everywhere. All right, if you're willing to look, you'll see them. There are free copies at Yogi Theosophy of some of these texts. You will also find them all over the internet. Just look, okay? I've also included a link to the original photocopied book in this blog and in this YouTube video. So here we go. Okay, the working system of the Theosophical Society. The objects of the society. Inquirer asks, what are the objects of the Theosophical Society? Theosophist. There are 3, and they have been from the beginning. 1, to form the nucleus of a universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, color, or creed. Now, side note here, there has been a change that the word the has been changed to in order to eliminate another exclusive religion. Okay, there's no the, there's only a we, so it's and nucleus means heart. We've talked about that before. It means heart. So the work takes place within yourself, wherever you are. It's not a building, it's not an organization, it's not a location, it's you. Okay. 2, to promote the study of Aryan, that has been hijacked, that word has been hijacked and misused in the last century, purposefully. Okay. To promote the study of Aryan, just forget anything negative about that word and listen, and other scriptures of the world's religion and sciences, and to vindicate the importance of old Asiatic literature, namely the Brahmanical, Buddhist, and Zoroastrian philosophies. And 3, to investigate the hidden mysteries of nature under every aspect possible, and the psychic and spiritual powers latent in man especially. These are, broadly stated, the 3 chief objects of the Theosophical Society. Another little side note, in my own study and application, in my own journey, and that's all I can speak on is my experience. I do not own these teachings. I'm a student, and I have found that when your cause is to aid all of humanity and not for selfish purposes, that these will come to light much more clearly. Just my opinion and my experience. Inquirer, can you give me some detailed information upon these? Theosophist, we may divide each of these 3 objects into as many explanatory clauses as may be found necessary. Inquirer, then let us begin with the first. What means would you resort to in order to promote such a feeling of brotherhood among races that are known to be of the most diversified religions, customs, beliefs, and modes of thought? Theosophist, allow me to add that which you seem unwilling to express. Of course we know that with the exception of the 2 remnants of races, the Parsis and the Jews, every nation is divided, not merely against all other nations, but even against itself. This is found most prominently among the so-called civilized Christian nations. Hence you wonder, and the reason why our first object appears to you a utopia. Is it not so? Inquirer, well, yes, but what have you to say against it? Theosophist, Nothing against the fact, but much about the necessity of removing the causes which make universal brotherhood a utopia at present. Inquirer, what are, in your view, these causes? Theosophist, first and foremost, the natural selfishness of human nature. It's important. First and foremost, the natural selfishness of human nature. This selfishness, instead of being eradicated, is daily strengthened and stimulated into a ferocious and irresistible feeling by the present religious education, which tends not only to encourage, but positively to justify it. People's ideas about right and wrong have been entirely perverted by the literal acceptance of the Jewish Bible. All the unselfishness of the altruistic teachings of Jesus has become merely a theoretical subject for pulpit oratory, while the precepts of practical selfishness taught in the Mosaic Bible, against which Christ so vainly preached, have become ingrained into the innermost life of Western nations. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth has come to be the first maxim of your law. Now I state openly and fearlessly that the perversity of this doctrine and of so many others, Theosophy alone can eradicate. The common origin of man. Inquirer asks, how? How can it be eradicated? You don't have time. Oh, going on. Okay. Simply by demonstrating on logical, philosophical, metaphysical, and even scientific grounds that all men have spiritually and physically the same origin, which is the fundamental teaching of Theosophy. As mankind is essentially of one and the same essence, and that essence is one, infinite, uncreate, and eternal, whether we call it God or nature, nothing, therefore, can affect one nation or one man without affecting all other nations and all other men. This is as certain and as obvious as that a stone thrown into a pond will sooner or later set in motion every single drop of water therein. Inquirer, but this is not the teaching of Christ, but rather a pantheistic notion. Now, pantheism, some of you may know what that means. For those who do not, it is a doctrine which identifies God with the universe. The universe is God. There's the recognition of many and all gods, pantheism. Theosophist answers, that is where your mistake truly lies. It is purely Christian, although not Judaic, and therefore perhaps your biblical nations prefer to ignore it. I'll repeat that again. That is where your mistake lies. It is purely Christian, although not Judaic, and therefore perhaps your biblical nations prefer to ignore it. Inquirer, this is a wholesale and unjust accusation. Where are your proofs for such a statement? Theosophist, they are ready at hand. Christ is alleged to have said, love each other and love your enemies. For if ye love them only, which love you, what reward or merit have ye? Not even the publicans. And I'll explain what publicans are. Let's see. Can I do that now? Yeah. Okay. Publicans are regarded like thieves and pickpockets, tax collectors, things like that. Okay. Let's go back. Do not even the publicans the same? And if you salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even publicans so? These are Christ's words. But Genesis 9:25 says, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, a servant of servants. So no matter who you are, you serve the least. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And therefore Christian but biblical people prefer the law of Moses to Christ's law of love. They base upon the Old Testament, which panders to all their passions, their laws of conquest, annexation, which means occupation and conquering, and tyranny over races, which they call inferior. And in this case, the word race does mean ethnicity. What crimes have been committed on the strength of this infernal, if taken in its dead letter passage in Genesis? History alone gives us an idea, however inadequate. Now, the idea that is referenced is a footnote, but I think I should read it here. At the close of the Middle Ages, slavery, under the power of moral forces, had mainly disappeared from Europe. But two monumentous events occurred which overbore the moral power working in European society and let loose a swarm of curses upon the earth such as mankind had scarcely ever known. One of these events was the first voyaging to a populated and barbarous coast, where human beings were a familiar article of traffic, and the other, the discovery of a new world, where mines of glittering wealth were open, provided labor could be imported to work in them. For 400 years, men and women and children were torn from all they knew and loved and were sold on the coast of Africa to foreign traders. They were chained below decks, the dead often with the living, during the horrible Middle Passage. And according to Bancroft, an impartial historian, 250,000 out of 3.25 million were thrown into the sea on that fatal passage, while the remainder were consigned to nameless misery in the mines or under the lash in the cane and rice fields. Now, the guilt of this great crime rests on the Christian Church, the name of the Most Holy Trinity, the Spanish government. Roman Catholic concluded more than 10 treaties authorizing the sale of 500,000 human beings. In 1562, Sir John Hawkins sailed on his diabolical errand of buying slaves in Africa and selling them in the West Indies in a ship which bore the sacred name of Jesus, while Elizabeth, the Protestant queen, rewarded him for his success in this first adventure of Englishmen in that inhuman traffic by allowing him to wear as his crest a demi-Moor in his proper color, bound with cord, or in other words, a manacled Negro slave. That's from Conquests of the Cross, quoted from the Agnostic Journal. There's so much more. There is so much more to learn. So every day that I study and apply what I learn in these ancient teachings, I try to become them. And I think that's probably what happened with the vegan thing too. I was just doing that for compassion. And then there was something that kind of came back. A lot of pain. My back isn't hurting, my bones, my skin. My pores have closed. My hair is long and I don't understand. I was just doing something for compassion. And compassion gave back a gift. There is so much more to learn. Come away with more questions than answers. And keep looking for the solution. It isn't me. It isn't just these books. It's you. You are the vessel. You apply these teachings, become them, and you will understand in your daily life, when you apply them, a change takes place that is something that I can't explain, but you will understand it if you apply them in your daily life. I love you very much, and I'll see you on Yogi Theosophy, Key to Theosophy, Book Study 11 coming up.